Boo. I should have sound this time. I would hope, I think, maybe. All right, that's a start. Just want to demonstrate my program in a minute. Man, hey, it's not supposed to be playing when it's muted. Well, I guess it still is. Dang. So much for a mute button. All right, so I got to get my interface working. So let me try that process. That's where I had trouble with yesterday. It's unfortunate I can't use the mute button. You can still hear me even though it's supposed to be muted. It's a travesty. All right, I'm gonna grab the guitar and try to get it working in just a second. Be right back real quick. All right, just gonna set up the guitar so it's detected by my program, which is a couple steps to get it going. This darn interface here takes some getting used to. So my program, Song Visualizer, is made to work with guitar input. Detects, the current guitar frequency and all that fun stuff. Just a matter of getting it actually detected. There's a lot of configurations. I'm using Luna Universal Audio, Apollo Twin interface. And I can't remember the settings to put I always have to adjust it every time. It's so annoying. So actually it'll take me some time if I want to set up the instrument, but when it is detected, you go to the tuner screen. Let's see, I don't think... Oh, it does work. Hey, it does detect it. It's an E flat? No, it's E standard. I just don't have the audio being detected in my program. Or, let's see, will it work? As soon as I figure out the whole output channel stuff. Honestly, I don't remember the settings, but that's okay. So the program, yeah, detects real frequencies from the guitar currently, and then when you play it, let's see, is that smooth movement? Let's see, I have to update my display setting. Nope. So I'm using a MacBook M3 Max and I have to change the setting to show 60 frames per second. Alright, should be smooth now. Better. So the frets are there, right? Each string is a different color, 6 different colors. And there's chords. So the way this works is that the program opens a Guitar Pro 5 file. It goes through it, calculates when each note should be played, saves all the information, all the note information, and then each note it makes objects, right? Pygame sprites, rectangles, and there's lots of things going on, right? Actually, every frame, 60 frames per second, there's several different layers going on. You got the notes moving, you got the text updating on the top. In the top left, you have another text that'll update if I'm playing the guitar, telling me how my accuracy, how many, if I hit the note. If I hit the note, it's dependent on several factors. Every note is actually in order. There's a list of notes, and the notes are given in order of playtime. So right here, the 12th fret, second string, it's considered ready to play. Ready to play is a Boolean if the note is at the finish line being on the bottom of the screen. And when the note is ready to play, it looks at the guitar input and determines, hey, did I hit the note or not? Of course, that's a simplified version of saying it. Some of the songs I have yet to define the correct frequency for the drop tuning, so there's another screen, chord detect, where I go through every single chord in the song and I try playing it, and it right there it says I detected it, but I was just playing any random string. That's the tough part though. Defining the frequencies is tough. There's a JSON of each frequency for every single note and every chord. I'm gonna try to figure out this stupid audio crap. What I mean is, it gets frustrating this Apollo interface never saves in settings. Every time you go and you adjust something, it's like you can't go back and load. It's so frustrating. So I have it going to analog 1, aux 1 going analog 1. Aux 1, but it's muted. That's a bummer. Hey, actually, does it actually detect it? Hold on. Going through OBS. Oh, here we go. I'm going to unmute the OBS. It's going to get loud. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, it's not working. The pedals are not making any adjustments. It's so annoying getting the right settings. It doesn't just want to save it and stick to it. So I always have to tweak it. And then I go on the stream and it gets awkward on the stream because I'm trying to resolve the noise issue here. So let me just try to do that on the side. Not the most exciting stream. But yeah, I'm just trying to get the audio working here for the guitar. Well, so there's two aspects of this program, right? Song creator and song visualizer. Bam, song creator. Been tweaking that mostly as of recent. What I don't get is why is it requiring me to set aux1 as solo? That does not make any sense. What is it again? Aux. I sent myself images of the settings last time. Has attachment. Source mix. Insert interesting. There's no insert. Analog 1. TS overdrive. Turn it off. Oh, never mind. Analog 1, aux 1, send analog 1, mute it. Send analog 1, oh, hold on, lines 3 and 4, no. Send it. Mute analog 1. Mute amon, aux2, mute. aux1, analog send aux1. Analog 1 send aux1. Don't mute it. And then aux1 pre and mute. Source is mix. Interesting. Source is mix. Inputs tab. TS overdrive. Set mute, send analog 1. I don't remember if I am using virtual instruments. Q output set HP to mix, which I did. Line 3-4 to line 3-4. Then overview. Mute analog 1, send only to aux1. TS overdrive on but not enabled. That may explain why I was not getting the sound I wanted. Maybe. I never took pictures of the universal audio setup. So send out to virtual 1, 2, and then I get in. Do I get in virtual 1, 2? Let me get aux. No. I get aux 1. Now, hold on, let me switch headset real quick. Unfortunately, it seems like I'm gonna be here a while getting the right setting. Not the most exciting stream. Yeah, sure, I'd like to talk about the program, but I'm trying to set up the guitar with the interface, having a wet and a dry signal, and it's not as easy as it should be, which is frustrating. Because switching between the guitar and the headset with this XLR microphone messes everything up. So session 403. I have like a huge backlog of stuff that I recorded too that I'm not in a hurry to render. So take the input from mic line 1. Oh, hold on. Yeah, so this is not exciting stream, I'm aware, but it's gonna take me some time to set up, if I get it at all. I think I got it. Okay, great. I got it, finally. Okay, correct settings. Now I could do this stuff. Fun. Okay, and then also the tuner should work. That's with the volume. Hold on. Got the guitar off camera here. Just keep plucking the strings. All right. yeah, my program is made based off of my experiences with Rocksmith primarily, followed by Guitar Hero. The idea is that you turn your guitar from an instrument into a controller and you play it. Play songs like a video game. You get points. You get a note log status if you hit or missed notes. You plug your real guitar in, it detects the frequency like we see in the tuner. Or, yeah, I muted it. I don't know how the volume is compared to my voice, and I don't want it to override. But so you start the program, it's in Python, and then you get two windows that are displayed. The first window is the song creator, and then the second window is a song visualizer. There's a lot to go over for anyone new to this who has no idea what's going on. So I started this project. Okay, let's start back with Rocksmith, right? Rocksmith is a game kind of like Guitar Hero where you get notation displayed for the song in the easy to play format, whereas the notes start at the top of the screen and it descends downward through a set interval. In my program, I have it displaying at the top of the screen 2 seconds away from the note time, so it takes 2 seconds to fall down the screen. But then again, there's a settings screen where you can adjust that. Right now I have it starting the notes 2 seconds away. Maybe later I could do 4 seconds away, but that'll be too much, I would think. You can change the settings, go back and have the settings applied. I kind of get overwhelmed on where to start because this project is going on, it's over a 2-year-old project where first I started with the song creator. So I could backtrack a little bit. So Rocksmith came out maybe I think 2011, 12 or 13, in that range. First it came out for the console, then it came out for the PC, and then when it came out for the PC, everyone started modding it like crazy. Modding it as in adding some custom songs that are not in the game officially, so you but that's a huge story itself. How do you get the notation? How do you synchronize the notation with the audio? Whoa, look at those balloons. But there was a number of tools by the quote-unquote community, which is garbage if you ask me. Custom Forge is trash, and everyone there is mediocre. You think you're doing something great, but you're not. But that's another story. The Custom Forge community, who doesn't like to evolve and stays in their current format for some strange reason. You got those people. So there's a bunch of tools. There's a Rocksmith toolkit. There's Editor on Fire. There's WWise. And I think that's it. So with Rocksmith, let's say I have a Guitar Pro notation, right? Let me open up that software. Just open up any random song so I could get the software displayed on the screen. So Guitar Pro, this tiny window, let me open it up. Wow, that's way too big. Hold on. Guitar Pro basically holds the music sheet note music information. It you know, each measure, tempo, string, fret, everything, that all the information of the song. If I could get it to actually display, that would be great. Here we go. So the idea is to first have the notation in Guitar Pro as a base point for the song visualizer or Rocksmith, and then converting that into game format. Let's actually go to the song creator. going to hit the generate button, and then you're going to see the song open in Guitar Pro and in Song Visualizer. So just any random, whatever settings, just hit generate. So when you open the program, the settings are generated randomly. It's over 200 variables. In this case, the key is B. The scale is Hindustan, something like that, other than my pronunciation. And so yeah, it's open in Song Visualizer, it's open in Guitar Pro. That's where my program initially started before I had Song Visualizer. It was, let me see if I could create a random song through algorithm and then go from there. And then after that, I created a Song Visualizer. And both projects I'm actively maintaining over time, tweaking, improving. You see in the top right corner of the Song Visualizer, as well as the Song Creator title window, as a version 0.8H alpha. That means I went through the alphabet 8 times, going on the 9th. Every time I make so many changes, I say, hey, this is enough changes to consider a version bump. I bump up the letter and sometimes the number. And I have a GitHub that has, it's a private repository that has each, when I push, I have a branch by date. So I can always go back and look at any particular day that I have. Oh, hey. So I didn't see you there. Just got you now. Trying to I don't even know where to start when it comes to this program. Like going over it, like I could go over everything. It's a bit deep. So you open Guitar Pro screen. This looks at a certain path. The user sets the path, and then this is a folder. The first folder set, you have the tuning folder. Then you have artist folder. And then inside the artist folder, you could either have the songs or another optional folder for the album. And then right here is the Guitar Pro 5 files. And then when you open the song, there's, I used to go in the song and then here, let me see if I could get an example of it. Open up Blue Sky. So there's 2 songs for Allman Brothers Band back in 2013. I bought a tablature book. I have it around here somewhere. In the tablature book, I imported every single note by hand. And I've been playing that one. Blue Sky and Mountain Jam and In Memory of Elizabeth Reed. But so like this song Blue Sky, for example, I at least used to go into the Guitar Pro and look at the default tempo of the song is supposed to be 93, but look at here, I modified the tempo, in this case 73, or in this case 73, and then you got dynamic tempo throughout the song. 63 slows down, 43 right here. So I would manually update each measure. 43, 73, different tempo speeds, 53, 73. But then I kind of got this program to evolve past that where I don't have to manually update the tempo. I go to the tempo screen, and the tempo screen groups the measures by the tempo. So measures 1 through 5, 93 BPM, 6 to 30, measures 6 to 33, 199 tempo. So this screen groups the measures by tempo, color codes it, so you can kind of see the relating tempo by the same color, kind of sometimes. I would say purple and purple, but that tempo's off. See, it changes color a little bit based on the tempo. But let's say I update measures 1 through 5 to be 91 BPM, and then I update measures 6 to 33 to be 91. So they're matching, and watch this. It's going to be grouped together now. Measures 1 through 33. Let's say update measures 34 to 37 to have the same tempo. Groups them together. Measures 38 to 40, I'll have that. And then let's say I like this settings. I have different profile buttons on the bottom that let me save the profiles outside of modifying the guitar profile itself. So I just say save profile 5. And let's say I reset it. When I reset it, it resets to the default settings from the guitar profile itself. And then I can do load profile 5 or reset it, load profile 5. And you see the average tempo top fluctuates. And then the exciting part is the dynamic tempo, where when I plug my guitar in, there's a stats screen. The stats saves the JSONs, and in this case, there's you can look at the table of the JSON that says every single note, although this isn't the prettiest screen to look at. It also doesn't have all the values, but you get the score, accuracy, streak, hit count, miss count, and then it compares that playthrough with previous ones. So the current one up top, January 16th, total score 783, accuracy 87%, longest streak 81, hit count 667, and then it compares it to the previous playthroughs. Okay, January 16th compared to January 1st. January 16th, I have a score change of 11. I have 1% more accuracy. I have a hit 6 more notes I hit. Whoa, what happened there? And then I have 70. Well, that's weird. When I click here, it changes. What in the world? So when I click here, it changes from January 16th up top to to November. Whipping post? What? That's a bug. Whipping post. What are you doing? Oh, what? I could have sworn I was on Blue Sky. You didn't see that. So I have a search song in the opens file. So you just search Blue Sky. Stats. Blue Sky. Maybe I was on Whipping Post. What in the world? Let's go back to Blue Sky. So Blue Sky, November 14th. I could have sworn I played Blue Sky more recently. Maybe not. Strange. Oh, I've been obsessed with Drop C, that's why. Anyway. There's, so yeah, the dynamic tempo screen reads those JSON files. You can set a min and max tempo. Blue Sky by default has a max of 93, and I can adjust it. So it looks at, you could change the number of previous files you looked at, and then there's variables for how you want to alter the tempo. So for determining when to increase the tempo, you say, oh, if I hit 50% of notes in that specific measure, then increase the tempo by 10% for that measure. Or if I miss 50% of notes, then decrease the tempo by 15%. This currently only applies to the currently selected arrangement, which I have as lead, but there's also this check mark to consider each arrangement in the entire song. If I have lead and rhythm, that way if I want to do a multi-track, then the dynamic tempo applies to both lead and rhythm. Otherwise, if you just do the lead with different tempo than the rhythm, then it's out of sync, different tempos. But yeah, there's a guitar input screen where I tune the instrument. You have different tunings: E standard, E flat, drop D, D standard, drop C, open G, open E, E standard. And I have, maybe I could share that too, the JSONs of each note. Let me find those JSONs. There's a whole lot of JSONs in this project. Input frequencies, output frequencies, note stats, song stats. So we're going to look at the E standard chords JSON, and the E standard single note frequency mapping, E standard. So let me just get obs to show those windows. So JSON E standard chords. JSON E standard chords is right here. So this is the dictionary of if a song has a chord, and I had to define its frequency. And what I did in the program was, I don't know how many chords there is, 60, 70, 80, whatever. 85, 90 chords. And 90 times 20-ish, 90 times 15-ish. I think it stops at, I forget what's fret 19? Yeah, it stops at fret 19. So what I did to define all these, 80 or 90 times 19, I'm not going to manually define that many frequencies by hand. What I did do is I defined the frequencies of just the first fret of the guitar for each chord, and I have a Python function that calculates the rest just by incrementing, because when you increment the frequency by fret, it does, each fret increments the frequency by X amount, and then so that Python function generates the chord name and the frequency values and the fret values. So this JSON works is you have the chord name as well as the fret number, and then you have the strings and the frets for that chord, and then you have the frequencies that it should resonate with. So that way when I'm playing the guitar and it detects my guitar input, it looks at that chord frequency definition and say, hey, is this a match? Is this a hit or a miss? And the fun part is drop C tuning compared to E standard. It's not one-to-one where you could just do a simple algorithm and convert it. It's like, no, some chords are different. Some chords are not specifically set to an algorithm and have to be manually defined. So I do have some drop C chords that I still have to define, just because like I defined it, but it doesn't straight up convert one-to-one from E standard. Single note. And there's let me get the single note frequency, another JSON, frequency mapping E standard JSON. This one is the single notes. It's more straightforward, right? Strings 1 through 6, frets 1 through 20 something, or 19. Let's see, what do I go? This is string 1, fret 1 through 21. And then string 2, fret 0 through 21. Blah, 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 blah. So I have to have an E standard and E standard chords and single note dictionary JSON files to reference. How else am I going to know if a note is hit or miss without defining its frequency? So every single note, you have to define what is it looking for. So you got different note effects right here. So you got a bass note and a sustain, and the sustain can have an effect. In this case, there's an arrow for a slide, or there's an X for a staccato. And then there's other effects like the palm mute, which applies to the bass. And so each note actually has two parts, a bass note and a sustain. You notice that when the bass note is at the finish line, it stays at the finish line, but the sustain continues to move downwards. And then once the sustain is moved past a certain point, that means the note is over. Although right now, I'm using another setting, sustain length scale, because I noticed that sometimes if you look at the sustains, right, if you have 100% scale, it's kind of annoying because the sustain, the end of one note starts at the beginning of another note. If you look to fret 9 to fret 11, the sustain length 100%, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to play the note that long until like a microsecond before the next note starts. It's not going to happen. So recently I introduced that concept of allowing the user to just set the scale of the dynamic, or as a sustain height by preference. But the downside of this is that I'm still struggling with the logic regarding the hit effect, right? So let's say I hit a note, I want the user to be able to see that, hey, good job, you hit the note. The problem that I have right now that I'm still trying to figure out is that note effect, that hit effect is currently being applied. It's not, you're not gonna see it right now because I don't have debug mode enabled where it shows it, and I don't have the guitar, I'm not plucking it. But when the note is hit, it displays a blue highlight on the sustain. And if you look at these notes in particular, they have short sustains. And if I mess with the setting for the sustain to make it shorter, like in this song, drop C, where you got fast note movements, the shorter the sustain is, the better in some cases because it makes it easier to read. But that makes it harder to read the note hit effect. So I'm still trying to figure out the note hit effect. Because right now on the top left of the screen where it says hits, that's where it looks at like, oh, I hit a note, that number increments. Like, oh, I hit this number of notes. And the problem with that is it's distracting for the user to constantly look at the top left of the screen, taking their eyes off the notes on the bottom of the screen. So I'm trying to brainstorm how I'm going to have a more effective note hit visual, perhaps on the finish line. But you see this note on the 0 fret right here, this is a palm mute, trying to give it distinctive effects so like the user could just read it and just know what it is. Just like these arrows right here, this is a hammer on and pull off arrow. So it kind of gets confusing too, because I think this is a pull off from 2 to 0 and then hammer on the 2, then pull off the 2 to 0. But it can be a little difficult to interpret that. But right here, it's more straightforward. Actually, no, I'm sorry. There's no pull off here. It's just hammer on, pull off. Like from 5, you're not doing a hammer on or pull off. From 5 to 7, you're doing a hammer on. You're not pulling off or hammering on to 5. You're hammering on 5 to 7. So trying to figure out how to make it more legible. So the way this works, everything is cached before the game starts. Right? You want as little calculation as possible during a game loop. So I cache all of these images before the game starts, and I have 2 different lists going on. There's active notes and actually active notes. Active notes are the ones that have yet to be played. Actually active notes are the one displayed on the screen right now. And the notes are in order. The active notes are in order. So it just says, okay, look at the next active note. Is a current song time plus 2 seconds less than or equal to the note start time? If true, then display the note and start descending it downwards. I even cached the delta time. I was like, oh, I don't want to calculate the delta time. I know the delta time is going to be consistent in like the 59, 60-ish FPS range. So rather than calculating that, I pre-calculated the delta time based on, if it's 60 FPS, then the delta time is this. The velocity, I mean. The velocity is delta time times an amount that I want the note to move by a set speed, right? Because this is 2D. I don't have 3D camera. If I have 3D camera, then perhaps I don't have to move every note. I just have the note in its static place and I just move the camera instead of the notes. But I'm not quite on 3D yet. 3D may also be easier to read in relation to the note being either smaller when it's farther away or bigger when it's closer. Whereas 2D, the note size is static, and the only thing that moves is, the position of it from the top of the screen to the bottom. So there's other user settings in the settings screen. You could change the speed of the note movements. You could change when the notes start. Instead of 2 seconds away, you could do 1 second away. But when you do that, you're going to have to balance the other settings. The velocity, do you how fast or slow, or do you want the velocity than the default? The note start position, do you want to adjust that? There's a whole bunch of settings, really. Recently, I introduced the idea of starting the song at a specific measure, as well as repeating the song until a certain measure, as well as number of times to repeat that selection. So let's start measure 62 to 64. Let's repeat it 3 times. Let's start off at 3 minutes in, and then at some point, was it measure 62 to 64? This is in the middle, so it's gonna stop and start right at the same spot. The stop, that's one time, and I'll do it 2 more times. This was fun to implement. Now, it doesn't save the JSON when you do that, but you see now it's going back that, and the number decremented, number times repeat went from 3 to 1. But you can see the note movement is pretty smooth. I'm proud of that. But it cost me an M3 Mac. And Windows is strange. I also fixed some stuff in regards to the song creator, because the song creator and song visualizer are open at the same time. There was something I've changed in regards to the song and scale. So the key in the scale, I mean. Oh, let me change that, or let me demonstrate that. That's something that I changed as well recently. So now it's a JSON file holding thousands of lines of scale information, whereas the other day it was a Python file, and that was hogged in the memory. I don't want to hog this in the memory because I'm not going to use it. I'm only going to reference it when I hit the generate button on the song creator, because that's the only time it references the key and scale information. So let me go to the song creator, go to the scales, and then we go to scale eStandard JSON. Oh, hold on, open it in text, not the web, stupid thing. All right, JSON. Okay, there's also manifest for the JSON. Let me go over the manifest. More JSON files. So when I synchronize with the server, I go through the manifest for both the server and the client. Let's see, can I get this displayed? Text edit, local manifest. So this manifest is the guitar profile manifest. It is the users, the clients, guitar profile files, listing the file name, the file path, the checksum, and the last modified. I'm surprised that the checksum, well, the logic behind the checksum is really great. So what checksum does, it generates this random string that somehow goes by the content of the file, and the server and the client both generate a checksum, and if the checksum is different, then it looks at the last modified. Which one is more recent, the server or the client? Is the server's more recent, then download from the server. Is the client's more recent, then upload from the client. And so that's the manifest. And if I go to the sync screen, open Guitar Pro 5 sync, this synchronizes with the server. Sometimes it gets error where it doesn't connect, and it's annoying because it should. Might have to reset the program. When it does work, you're going to see lots of prints. So right here, this is saying, okay, these files are synced. These files are synced. It looks at the manifest. Before, I had to get requests for each song individually, each file. Oh, there, the green is downloading or uploading. Uploading. Oh, that's weird. Why is it uploading these? I shouldn't have these JSONs. Oh, well, that's another story. But I could also demo that. So look at the song visualizer right now, right? And if we look at the song visualizer, we're gonna do something right here. Let me share my screen of the file path of the, hold on. So we're looking for, where is it? I'm trying to share a folder. Folder is Song Visualizer GP. Windows Server, Control Center. Nope, that didn't work. Oh, here we go. All right, so what I'm gonna do, this is my song visualizer. This is the folder that the program is referencing that I have open, right? What I mean is like eStandard, drop C, blah, blah, blah. So I'm gonna delete the client version, okay? Just move the trash. Okay, so right when I moved it to trash, you see the song visualizer program is now blank. There's no songs. So what I'm gonna do is I hit the sync button, and now, oh, hold on. Other than the crash right there, which is expected because reasons. Let me hit the button again. Oh, fine. You're gonna crash. Oh, I overlooked this. Hold on. Cannot find the green color definition. Well, that's a recent change. Oh, I know why. See, we're bug hunting. Hold on. Let me just change this line. As long as you don't see the source code, we're good. Let's try again. Okay, so go back. You got the screen open as the local file path, manifest file, even though it's blank. Right? I'm not going to open it, it's blank. You can see the size is 19 kilobits. So we go to the sync sync button, and as soon as it's done crashing, you know, I demoed this several times. There we go. Downloading. So I'm doing batch download. So it's actually downloading as a RAR, and it crashed. No file, guitar pre, not as fun. That's a shame. Well, that's what happens when you're constantly changing code. Because I did have this working. So it downloaded some, but you see you got the zip there, so it kind of crashed. Let's try again. So it downloaded some of them. Downloading the rest. Will it work? No, it crashed. Well then, I have to see why this crashed. So it says there's no folder. Oh, what I should do is if not exists. Shutter move file. If not path exists. Shutter move file destination. Destination, which one is it? Open source. RB, which line is it? Hold on. So, I'm trying to see, there's an error. Destination equals shutter move file destination. If a path exists, remove destination. If not path exists. Destination, song name, file name, song with spaces, destination. All right, let's try again. Of course, I'm not going like deep on trying to fix this. I'm just trying to get this on a certain surface level here, just to get it working on the stream. Dang, it's really consistent. Well, I'm gonna have to come back to this error later, and then hold on. I'll write a to do. So I'm just gonna manually create the folder right now. It's having a problem creating a certain folder, or is it? Wait, what? Interesting error. I could have sworn the last time I did this was working, but you know, last time I did this, I didn't change some things, so it doesn't look like it's 100% working. But I may have to tweak it and come back. But when it is working, 100%, it's great. No such file. It's okay. Batch download Guitar Pro files. This is why it's alpha. Anyways, I'm gonna be right back, 5-10 minutes. So excuse me. Boring stream. Hold on. Come back in a little bit. Hello again. Thanks for waiting. So, actually, hold on. All right, so if you can't tell, the program crashed. That's why it's frozen on that screen. Like I said before, it's working. I changed something, it breaks. But, you know, I demoed this in a previous video where it downloads everything. Something I changed somewhere. There's a lot of stuff going on. Because every file is on the server, right? And I have 3 different devices, at least. And the idea is when I want each device to be synchronized. And there's a lot of files to synchronize, not just the Guitar Pro. Some JSON files, right? Certain stats for the JSON files. So let me just try playing around with this. Usually, though, this is what happens when programming this, right? Just error, or something happens, tweak it, run it again, tweak it, run it again. Eventually, progress is made. I just don't usually stream the programming process because it's not the most exciting, especially when I don't share the source code. But I'm kind of I'm gonna have to see what the heck is going on regarding this particular error. Shutter util move file destination, no such file, kill switch engage, not as fun. That's so weird. I have an idea. So I'm just making code changes, but I'm not sharing it because I kind of want to see what's going on. Just put a breakpoint when it errors and see what's happening, because it's supposed to move files from the zip to their particular destination. It's saying a file doesn't exist in the destination. Well, it shouldn't. Okay, so file is destination is that. File is, wait, what? File equals zip extract file name os pass destination. Oh, what? Oh, I'm doing this wrong. I'm zipping it, then I'm removing it? Hold on. I should remove it, then unzip, or whatever. Hold on. Let's hope it's that easy. Anyways. I don't know. I find programming fun. I'm here for hours, just the most tedious of tasks like this. Let's see, will it error? Hey, I fixed it. What happened was okay, so when you're downloading the file, I think what happened is, okay, so if I already have a file, and an old version, and I download a new version, I think what happened is I added logic to delete the old version to move the new version. But what happened was, first I moved the file, then I deleted it, then I looked for it when it was deleted. So there's nothing to be found. So I just, whoops, the simple fix, changing the order around, right? With programming, order is very important. It could change everything. So in that case, I just changed one line down below and fixed it. So if you look at the times played, 837, that was the same number of times played as last time. For a while, I had logic, like I was downloading files, but the times played was off between devices, and it was so strange. It's like, I know I played it more. Okay, but yeah, I asked, logic I added over time is when you consider a time has been played. Do you have your guitar plugged in? If you have your guitar plugged in, do you have 30% accuracy or more of note stats hit? If you don't have your guitar plugged in, I think it's something like if you have 30% of the song played through. And the most important thing is So you see the song visualizer GP folder here. There's another folder. Let me go to that one. So when the user opens this program, they have the choice of opening or setting 3 particular folder paths. The first path, or one of those paths, is the one I just showed, the guitar profiles ordered by the tuning, artist, songs, or optional folder with the songs. And then the other path we have right here is the JSON input output. Input because I want to give the user the ability to configure some JSONs that result in a output. I have to give a little example what I mean by that is scales, or sorry, drop C modifications to the frequency chord definitions and single note definitions compared to E standard. See, so this is the JSON input output, and the problem that I tried to fix recently is that the note stats, like the times played this particular song has been played, the average play time, like you see in the above window, song visualizer, that's all stored in the JSON. And one problem here is I'm trying to keep the folder formats to be consistent. So tuning folder being the topmost folder, right? Like E standard, open E, whatever, drop D, drop C. But the problem right here, look at DB, E standard, E standard, E standard. This is a format of the other file paths that the user defines for the song creator. So in this case, the song creator and song visualizer programs are conflicting because I want the song visualizer JSON folder that we have open here, I want it to be synchronized with the program. Look, you see in the program, it's just drop C, drop D, E flat, E standard, open E, open G, Z. But in the folder, it's D, B, E standard, E standard, E standard. And perhaps it'd be better if I share. Well, I'll get there to the next window. But these are the song creator format where it says the keys, D, B, and then E standard, E standard, E standard. Those are the song creator formats. So the bug was that these folders are saving, the song creator folders are saving in the song visualizer folders. So I had to make an adjustment to that very recently that I'm hoping is fixed. But then again, I think that might have downloaded right now from the server. Watch. Let me do something. I hit sync. Are they going to re-download? And I added this here because I wanted the user to see, like, hey, stuff is happening between the server and client. I don't want the client just to sit here all bored. Otherwise, this was just printed in a terminal. So let's see, did it re-download? No, it didn't. Good. See? But what happens if I just go ahead and delete the user's JSON? And look at, I deleted the JSON, and the data in the program now says times played 0, last played never, average playtime 0. There could be a bug if I go ahead and play it and adjust the settings by playing it, and it will say the client's is more recent than the server. Maybe I could implement another requirement to have file size a consideration, because even if the client's is more recent, what if it just has one entry whereas the server has months of entries, bigger file size? But I'm not gonna try that right now because I want to not purposely bug hunt, I guess you could say. So let's hit the sync button and let's look at the files that get downloaded. See, now right when it instantly created the folders, and then at some point, if it hasn't, there's a manifest. See all the green on the program? It downloaded all these. Man, this was a pain when I didn't have batch downloading. It just went downloading, 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 downloading. But you look at the batch, it's just downloading, 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 downloading. And you see now it unzips everything from a JSON, or sorry, from a RAR, rather than download one file at a time. It downloads as a zip and then extracts to the correct directory. And it has to correlate the directories between the server paths directories. So the server has similar file paths, but it's different because when the user logs in, or sorry, when the user starts this program, they log into a account that is synchronized with the server, and the account on the server, each user has an ID, and in the server, there's a user uploads folder that is sorted by the user IDs. So each user ID has their own uploads, JSONs, GP5s that is synchronized across devices. And in this case, I did crash actually. Another human error. I it's trying to reference green color, but I only assigned green color in a particular area, not the correct area. So another lesson of programming where ordering is important. Yeah, so I have to just move a variable. Let's try sync it again. Program shouldn't freeze. I might download one or two more. So it goes in particular orders. First, it downloads the Guitar Pro 5 files, because the JSON files have to reference the Guitar Pro 5 files. There's logic like looks for a particular path based on the client's Guitar Pro 5 file path, where it's at. And it has to work between Linux and, well, actually, I don't know. Actually, what I'm trying to say, yeah, it works between Linux, the server side, the pathing, and it works with Windows, and it works with Mac. In regards to when you put a file path in a string with Python, it's not as simple as putting // hey, this is a path // right? Because Linux, Mac, Windows have different formatting in regards to the file path and the string. So Python, you use OS library, and you do things like os.path.join, and there's like even an OS file separator function that you put in place of it instead of having a //. There's a whole bunch of things you can do. Okay, so I downloaded it, and you see all the song stats are the same as before. So I deleted everything downloaded from the server. Let's just do it again. So you see it happen without error. I deleted all the JSON files. Now the song stats with a blank. I'm going to hit the sync button, and then it's going to re-download everything. I guess I'll just navigate around. So I don't think anything's here yet. The folders are here, but not the files, because the files are done last in the zip. And they're just all pasted. And that could take a second or two to paste everything in the correct path. There could be errors here. If it looks for a path that doesn't exist, you have to say if not path exists, then create the path. Python programming stuff. So that is 2 out of 3 folders that I demonstrate here. There's another folder. Oh, did it crash? No, it's just taking a second to paste it. Yeah, there we go. It just freezes for a bit when there's so many files. Okay, let's see. I wonder if that could be a different thread so it doesn't get stalled. Well, anyways, there's something else I could show is the song creator path, which is another path the user defines when they open the program. Song creator path. Show this window in just a second. So I'm using Mac, so I have to go by Finder, Song Creator GP. So, okay, let me open Song Creator. Too many windows on OBS. Is that it? I have to, on Mac, I have to like focus on the window for it to display. It's weird. Oh, Song Creator version 0.H alpha. See, the last time I shared this particular one is version D. All right, so this is also synchronized. Actually, no, it's not. This one is not synchronized with the server. This is just client side at the moment. And that's because there could be millions of files, in particular if I hit that lift off button. Okay, so the idea of this Song Creator folder. Hold on. Don't know what happened with, there we go, Song Visualizer. I guess I minimized it. So in regards to this Song Creator folder, this is the one that if you look at the Song Creator window, it says tuning, lead tuning, rhythm tuning, alt lead tuning, E standard, E standard, E standard. So what that does when you generate a song, generate subfolder, that's all it does. It creates a folder named based on the 3 guitars tunings. So most common one, E standard, E standard, E standard. And from there, it goes by folders of keys and scales, singular or plural, 1 or 2. Not yet at the point of having 3 or 4 scales in a song. It's just 1 or 2. Or keys or scales, or keys and scales. Either or. Like you could have, I'm surprised I don't have A and A. Let's create it. So let's go to the Song Creator. Let's put that right here. Put the folder. Okay. So what I'm going to do is create a song that is key of AA. Just so we can see the folder created, because does not currently exist. So I have to note also in the Song Visualizer, I have to be on the main screen in order to access the Song Creator. It's a matter of which program has mouse priority. Because I have 2 different windows and one hooking method for both in regards to the user input, just the mouse. So such as clicking buttons on one Song Creator and clicking buttons on the Song Visualizer. The events are kind of shared. It just depends which one is on a active screen. I mean, if Song Visualizer is on the open guitar profile, or guitar, yeah, if it's on that screen, or if it's on the active song, then you can't click the Song Creator, I don't think. Anyways, let's try key of A. Two scales. Key of A, key of A. So we're gonna clear scales first. So it's A pentatonic major for the first scale. Let's actually add that. And the second scale, let's have A, let's see, what scale? Not a common one. Let's try a rare scale. Not something minor. I've done too many minors. Something more uplifting, perhaps. I'm still learning the differences between each scales. Let's try something exotic. Moorish Phrygian, however you pronounce it. So 2 different A scale, or key, 2 different, yeah, keys. I'm trying to, it's hard to word this. 2 different scales, 1 key. Okay. A pentatonic major, A Let's change it to A Pelog, however you pronounce it. A generate. E standard. Let's see, did it generate? Yeah, it's opening Guitar Pro. I don't have Guitar Pro open. Right here. A pentatonic major. Well, it generated a song. I was looking to see if the past generated. See the song it just generated right now. Time stamped in the file name. And I was trying to get the, let's see where it's saved. Yeah, it should be saved there. Is it, does Mac not update the file paths? Do I have to like refresh? If I go back, sort by name. Or what am I missing? This is strange. Because when I save it in the song creator, it has that path. Song creator GP, E standard, E standard, E standard, A pentatonic. I can't like type on the file path like Windows either, so it's kind of frustrating. You could go to folder. But anyways, it should be generated. But then that's where I'm at now, is finding like the correct combination of user variables for a song that I want to play, because the goal of this started with, instead of transcribing, you should see my PowerPoint presentation I have of the source code. If you want to sign an NDA, it describes the whole flow of the entire program. But I've been trying to find a particular set of user variables that allows me to hit 100% of notes. See, there's 2 albums that I generated back in 2021 October or December through February-ish. And those 2 albums, the first album computer generated, it showed this as like a proof of concept, like the song creator aspect. But the songs were actually quite difficult. So in the second version, or second album, I was aiming more at 100% note accuracy. So in the song creator, I haven't really gone over all the variables in this session as much as I've gone over it before, but there's a lot of different variables that the user has. I could kind of go over it a bit. It's like you choose a key and scale. When you choose the key and scale, that just changes the eligible notes that are actually available to be chosen. Before I showed the JSON of all the different scales. I didn't do that recently in this current session, but there's also the user preference of choosing which strings and frets and note length priorities to have the song written on. Then the interval priorities, and then recently added the different presets for the intervals and the note length priorities to go by. You get all these different settings for the intervals, priorities. So the lead, in this case, the lead sync true, clear all priorities at 0, but then they disable it. So say when you start this program, all variables are randomized, and then you hit this randomize button if you want to randomize it. There is some, in regards to the way the program writes the songs, it focuses on 4 frets, and then like 4 different, because that's all you could play is like 4 different fingers, 4 frets, and you get different settings like move to focused frets every X number of notes, requires a note length of whatever value in order to move the frets, and then when it's moving the frets, how to consider should the frets move up or down. It moves in transition at the moment. It doesn't just jump from one area so far away greater than 4 to another, it transitions the fretboard. Um, moves up or down the fretboard by different selections you could choose. I like the priority system because the priority system logs each time each fret has been chosen and tries to balance it throughout the entire fretboard. I've even done a bunch of debugging on this, and I saw the prints. This fret has been chosen this number of times, this fret has been chosen this number of times, and when I have this setting, it tries to balance it out. And I like that because I like choosing the entire fretboard. It makes you do different notes that are, well, there's only so many number of notes, but it makes you play the same note in different ways, right? One time you play this particular note on this string and fret, and then next time you play that same letter of the note on a different string and fret. So it's a lot of variety, but there's also different calculations as to the moving the frets. Just randomize it 50-50, move up or move down. Not much thought to it. That's the first album I did, I think, of computer generated, just a simple one. And there's also a calculated one that I also tried to write based on the first album that I never really tested. Well, to an extent, it's more of a theory that having, because I noticed in the second album, or I get them mixed up. It's been like 2 years, but basically it tries to balance the treble, the mid, and the lows between the leads and all leads and the three arrangement, the left, center, and the right. Because the goal is just 3 guitar arrangements: left, center, right. Lead in the left, rhythm in the center, alt lead on the right. And what this move calculated one tries to do, it tries to balance the lows, mids, and highs between the 3 arrangements, in that it tries to prevent having 3 arrangements playing a high at the same time, or low at the same time, or mid at the same time. It tries to say, hey, this one arrangement is playing a high, the other should play a mid, and the other should play a low. Because that's the reason why you play bar chords, right? You get the whole variation. Whereas what I could get away with in the rhythm is having simple 2 or 3 note chords. I don't like playing bar chords. So what I do is I hide that with having 2 or 3 note chords hidden by the lead and the alt lead, playing the other variety that could extend on that chord. Is that chord playing mid with 2 or 3 notes, aka strings 4 and 3. It just, number strings divided by sections. So 6 strings, 3 sections, 2 strings each. So the first and second string are high, third and fourth are mid, and fifth and sixth are low. And it just, tries to balance it out. But recently I introduced leads having chords. Before first and second album, I had leads having only single note. Why do I have 2 guitar profiles windows open? Hold on. Well, there we go. Now I have one. But yeah, so recently I introduced leads having chords, and which is interesting. I had to redo a lot of stuff to get that working, but I think it's working pretty good. This also introduced a bug for the longest time that I just got rid of recently, where the chords sometimes got unexpected placement. Like, I have a whole filtering system by, if I open the song creator, hold on. Oh, it's still open. Okay. The song creator, there's 3 different tabs for chords. There's more based on shape. The frets vary based on the key and scale, current focus frets, blah, blah, blah. But in regards to the chords, user has ability to toggle which shapes to enable or disable in the song generation. And my favorite ones from my second album are the simplest of chords. Just because the rhythm is all about more so the pattern. Because if you go to the rhythm section, you can change the number of patterns, in this case, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That's the number. So what the rhythm does, it looks at the chords in the pattern. And I also have a second pattern, new pattern, that's optional, that's more based on drop C, E flat. But the original pattern for the rhythm, what it does is it chooses a pattern out of the eligible. It plays a particular chord that number of times in the pattern. And then once that pattern is over, it looks for another pattern. Right now it's just random. It chooses another random unique one that's not the same. Because what happens if you have the fourth pattern disabled and you accidentally roll 2 2s? Well, that's the same as 4, and I have 4 disabled. Anyways, so yeah, it chooses a pattern, then the chord, and that's really all a rhythm is. You play 2 here, 4 here, 8 here, 16 here. But I also introduced after my second album, which I have yet to record with, is, where is it? Measure, yeah, right here. Measure, allow sections and subsections. And that's because I'm never going to go to Ultimate Guitar website again to upload my stuff. But when I did upload my stuff on Ultimate Guitar, they always said, hey, your song is great and all, but you're missing sections. You're missing intro, chorus, verse, outro, bridge, or whatever, all that stuff. And so, well, I added that in this part. Let's see, did the song generate with it? No, it didn't. Let me generate another song. I'll turn the sections on, and you'll see I'm allowing subsections too. So now generate, you got another song. Turn on multi-track mode, and then now the song, you have intro, and then it goes to subsection as a chance to do a solo. Right now in this case, this subsection is muting the rhythm and having only leads. And then so we go from intro to verse. Right now it's the same sections every time. It always goes in this order: intro, verse. And what the different sections do is change. Okay, so the way the song note lengths are chosen is by a priority system: min, max, reduce. So you have a min number and a max number, and the priority is chosen between the min and max by random. When that priority is chosen, it reduces a priority by a reduce by number. And what the sections do, intro, chorus, verse, blah, 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 all those sections modify the priority of the note lengths. So the chorus will have more whole notes, half notes. The solos will have more eighth notes, possibly 16th. Although there's a lot of filtering I have for 16th notes. Inside of the notes section, you can modify the max amount of 16ths and 8ths you want in a measure and in a row. And all that could vary. There's like 200 variables. And the user has the ability to configure a lot of them. That's the whole point of this GUI. I don't want to hard code stuff. I want to configure them and see what it makes. There's a lot of surprising results from this. And I even have dynamic tempo at the moment if there's too many 16ths between the leads. Although the rhythm, I think I have to implement, because I also, in this, I think it's the subsections. It might be a subsection that the rhythm switches from a pattern chord to an arpeggio. And I even have it printing in the guitar profile the current rhythm configuration. In this case, probably can't read it, but it says arpeggio. And if I look, because you see it's single notes now, and it just had two different versions arpeggio. One was to alternate, like require alternate, but this version just choose a random note from the current selected chord. But if we go back here, you can see it says right here when the arpeggio, it says arpeggio, but the next measure it says pattern because it switches from arpeggio to pattern. So the chord has two different modes, arpeggio and pattern. So yeah. And yeah, the rhythm goes by the subsection from arpeggio to pattern. And you see all the prints for the intervals printed above the notes because you got different priorities going on for the note selection. In the note selection, you have in the measure tab, Song Creator, different preferences for how to determine after you get the note length, what do you want the string and the fret to be? Well, the priority system goes by numerous things, but it's a priority system that, well, nonetheless, it's lots of variables. It's comparing the previous note with the current note, or if it's the first note, but it compares. Okay, let's say you have a note already made, you're in the middle, because there's only one time you'll be the first. But after you have one note, you're going to compare. Let's just not even worry about what the previous note is, just to say that it's a note, it's a particular string and fret, and you're trying to write another one, another note. Well, when you're trying to write that note, another note, second note, next note, whatever, it looks at the previous note, then it cares about what string is it, what fret is it, to consider, okay, well, the previous note was this string, this fret, this letter, what should the next note be? And it considers, well, what is the distance between this current note and the previous one? In terms of a list, right, you have a list of the eligible notes from the key and the scale, the user selected strings and frets, and the currently focused frets. And it looks at all of those and considers every single one of that list, compares it. Well, is this note okay in relation to the previous? How far is it? What is the difference of note length time? How far is it? Is it jumping strings? Jumping strings is having two or more distance, going from string 2 to string 6. That's a jump. That's a huge jump. Well, the bigger the jump, the less the priority. Well, depending if it's a certain note length, the note length is like 16th, 8th, whatever, then don't jump. Try not to jump. You don't have time. The goal is to hit 100%. It's like, okay, do I have enough timing between this note and this note length and this next note length? Well, then perhaps I do have time to jump. It's like that. There's a whole bunch of things that I introduced this past 2 years that I really have yet to make another album with. I just keep adding stuff. Like in this measure section, you even have repeating bar measure. You could that's a fun story, getting the program to work with repeating bar measure into Song Visualizer and Song Creator. So the repeating bar measure, different variables, the min max, reduce by. But there's also other considerations. When you make a repeating bar measure, how many times do you want it to repeat? Do you want it to repeat just one measure or more? Well, I think there's different chances that I have now to switch between one measure or more, but I don't think that's yet enabled in the user configuration too much other than min max reduce. But oh well. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff in this program between the two different programs going on: Song Creator, Song Visualizer. Song Creator making the files, Song Visualizer. 1 second. Yeah, so Song Visualizer, opening the files and allowing the user to modify the tempo, play through it, get their note stats, hit or miss, save in a JSON dynamic tempo based on those playthroughs. Whole bunch of stuff going on. But I think I'll just end this session here. I think I went over a lot. I'm trying to just focus on the user's perspective, not so much the source code, but I'm up to discuss how I designed the source code, obviously. So yeah, I will see you. I'm going to keep this session number 403 up until I actually record something. So just consider this a devlog for this session. All right, see you next time.